All right, thanks, guys. The Rockies take on the Yankees. 105 Eastern first pitch in New York. The Yankees are minus 200. Totals 10.5. We saw a 20-cent move toward New York and movement downward on the total. The Yankees open $1.80 up to minus 200. Total open 11 down to 10.5. 66% are leaning Yankees. 70% shaded toward the Rockies. And at the moment, Colorado's plus 170 on the money line. The Yankees minus $1.15 on the run line. We have German Marquez for Colorado, James Paxton for the Yankees. Paxton's 5-4 with a 3.93 ERA. He also has a 2.50 ERA since July 2nd. Now Marquez on the other side for the Rockies, a little bit of a different story. He comes into this game with a 5.12 ERA. He also has given up 11 runs in his last 2 2/3 innings pitched. Now the Yankees are first in the AL East, 64-33 overall for the year, 31 games over 500. They're also 10 games ahead of Tampa Bay for the division lead. The Yankees are 38-16 at home. They've also won their last 5 straight ball games. They're 5-1 in their last 6 at home, taking on Colorado, and they are 34-20 against the spread at home. And of course, when I refer to the spread in Major League Baseball, I am referring to the run line. Now, the Yankees are first in scoring, second in runs allowed at home, and fourth in hits allowed at home. They're also winning 71% of their games as the official Vegas favorite. They are 34-13 as the official home favorite, and they're winning 69% of their games in the third game without a day off. Now, Colorado is suffering a 6-game losing streak, 0-6 in their last 6 ball games. They're in 4th place in the NL West, 6 games under 500, just 46-52 overall for the year. They're 18.5 games back in that division. Colorado's just 20-28 against the spread away from home, losers in 8 out of their last 10 ball games. They're also 26th in striking out. The Rockies are 28th in runs allowed, last in hits allowed, and they've won just 13 out of 36 ball games as the official road underdog. Now, total-wise, the Yankees are 33-21 to the under at home. The Rockies are 29-19 to the under when traveling. I'm going to lean New York Yankees minus 1.5 in the under 10.5 in that game. And before we go ahead and move on, just going to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Sunday's Major League Baseball action. But before we go ahead and move into some more of that, just want to quickly remind you to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. We do daily plays on that site, and memberships begin at just $1.99 per month. That's patreon.com/BrockPage. Link for that site is in the description section below. All right, let's go ahead and move on with our next game. All starts Eastern Standard Time. We have the Red Sox taking on Baltimore, 105 Eastern first pitch at the Inner Harbor. Boston's minus 210, totals 12.5. We saw a nickel fade of Boston and movement upward on the total. The Red Sox open 215 down to 210. Total open 12 up to 12.5. 72% are leaning Boston, 60% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Orioles are plus 190 on the money line. Boston minus $1.40 on the run line. We have Andrew Kashner for the Red Sox, Asher Wojciechowski for Baltimore. Wojciechowski's 0-3 with a 5.74 ERA. Meanwhile, Kashner faces his former team coming into this game with a 9-4 record and 68 strikeouts. Now, Baltimore's in last place in the AL East. They are 37 games under 500, just 30-67 overall for the year. They have the most losses in Major League Baseball. They've also won just 14 out of 50 games at home this year. They've dropped 6 out of their last 9, and they're just 17-33 against the spread at Camden Yards. Baltimore is dead last in scoring, 29th in runs allowed at home, 28th in hits allowed at home. Now Boston on the other side, 54-45 overall for the year, 9-4 in their last 13, winners in 6 out of their last 7 when playing in Baltimore, if you're into historical trends. Now the Red Sox are third in scoring, first in hits, first in walks. Boston's also 27-13, taking on teams under 460. They've won 24 out of 40 games as the official road favorite. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Boston Red Sox -1.5 and the under 12.5 in that game. Next matchup, Blue Jays, Tigers. 1:10 Eastern first pitch in Detroit. The Blue Jays are -130, totals 11. We saw a nickel move toward Toronto and movement downward on the total. The Jays open $1.25 up to -130. Total open 11.5 down to 11 flat. The Tigers are +120 on the money line. We have Jake Waguespack for the Blue Jays, Tyler Alexander for the Tigers. Waguespack comes into this game with a 5.93 ERA. This is just his second start of the year. Toronto's 27.5 games back in the AL East. They are in fourth place in that division. They're just 38-62 overall for the year. Winners in just 20 out of 52 ball games away from home. The Blue Jays are last in hits on average per game, 26th in scoring, last in walks allowed. The Blue Jays are also winners in just 11 out of 26, taking on teams under 460. They've won just 34% of their ball games in the third game without a day off. Now, total-wise, Detroit is 4-2 to the under, taking on the Blue Jays. I'm going to lean Tigers +1.5 in the under, 11 runs in that game. Next matchup, Royals, Indians, 1:10 Eastern first pitch in Cleveland. The Indians are -220, totals 10.5. We saw a 10-cent move toward the Indians and movement downward on the total. Cleveland opened 210 up to 220. Total open 11 down to 10.5. 70% are leaning Indians, 64% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Royals are +190 on the money line. Cleveland -$130 on the run line. We have Glenn Sparkman for the Royals, Zach Plesac for the Indians. Plesac's 3-3 with a 3.75 ERA. Sparkman on the other side, just 3-5 with a 4.54 ERA for the Royals. Now, Cleveland is in second place in the AL Central, just 3 games back in Minnesota for the division lead. They're 31-21 at Progressive Field, winners in 6 out of their last 7 ball games. Cleveland is 4th in runs allowed, 4th in hits allowed, 3rd in walks allowed. They're also 5th in striking batters out. The Indians are 29-16, taking on teams under 460. They're also winning 67% of their games when Plesac makes the start. And most impressive, the Indians have won 75% of their games played at the current market price. Now, the Royals on the other side, 23.5 games back in the AL Central. They're just 37-63 overall for the year. Winners in 15 out of 49 away from home. They're also 25th in striking out on the road. Now, total-wise, the Royals are 60% to the under, taking on teams with a record, they are 60% to the under, taking on teams allowing 3.9 to 4.2 runs per contest. The Indians on the other side, 17-10 to the under at home when the line was 9 or higher. Give me the Indians -1.5 and the under 10.5 in that game. Next matchup, Cardinals, Reds. 1:10 Eastern first pitch at the Great American Ballpark. We're looking at pretty much a coin flip in this one. Both teams -105. Totals at 9.5. Now, we did see a 15-cent fade of the Cardinals in the early wagering. They opened up as the favorite. And as a matter of fact, they opened up as the $1.20 favorite with the total at 10.5. But once again, we saw a fade of St. Louis and movement downward on the total. The Cards open $1.20 down to -105. Total open 10.5 all the way down to 9.5. 51% are leaning Reds, 61% shaded toward the under. We have Jack Flaherty for the Cards, Anthony DeSclafani for the Reds. DeSclafani comes into this game with a 4.29 ERA. Cincinnati is dead last in the NL Central, 10 games under 500. They are not 10 games under 500. They're 8 games under 500 at just 44-52 overall for the year. They are 9 games back in the division, just 22-26 against the spread at home. Now, the Reds have dropped 4 out of their last 5 ball games. They're also just 1-4 in their last 5 at home. They've won just 5 out of their last 20 at home, taking on St. Louis if you're into historical trends. The Reds are 22nd in scoring, 27th in hits, 20th in striking out at home. The Reds are also winning just 38% of their games as the official Vegas underdog. They're also winning just 38% of their games at the current market price. Now, one more thing to add about the Reds. They've won just 15 out of 39, taking on teams between 460 and 540. Now, the Cardinals on the other side, pretty good success against the Reds this year. 6-4 taking on the Reds in their head-to-head matchups. The Cards are also winning 75% of their games, taking on teams allowing 3.9 to 4.2 runs per contest. Now, the Cards are starting to make some noise in the NL Central. They're just 3.5 games back in the division. They're also 26-23 against the spread away from home. Cards have been winners in 6 out of their last 8. They're 9th in runs allowed and 6th in hits allowed. Now, total-wise, the Cardinals are 70% to the under in their last 10. The Reds, on the other side, 30-18 to the under at home. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Cardinals minus 105 in the under 9.5 in that game.